Welcome back to the Crypto Power Hour, the #1 crypto show on Rumble, of course, powered by our friends over at Solum Global. With your hosts, George Ballantine, myself, Lance Miliaccio. Show up and deep dive into everything crypto. We're here to stay, because, of course, in crypto, we trust. George B., how are you, brother?
Oh, I'm good. Just a Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Rise and shine, everybody. It's time for crypto. Just another
That's
day.
right. In crypto, we trust. That's how
Another
we do
day,
it on
another
this show, of
coin.
course. Rise and shine, rise and grind, 7 a.m. Of course, 5 a.m. where I'm at, 7 a.m. East Coast time. We're happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and thanks for making us the #1 show on Rumble for crypto. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, so thank you so very much for tuning in. Don't forget, while you're here, jump in the chat, leave us a comment, and hit that follow button. If you can do the paid subscription for $5 a month, fantastic. Thank you so very much. You know, it's a tough economy. At a minimum, just hit the follow button. That way you'll be notified when we're going live. And of course, take the short form, take the long form, grow your own social media. And while the show's going on, take the live link, share it on your own social media, let people know if they want to learn about crypto from the bottom up. This is the spot to do it. Of course, we also cover top news, top projects, things you should be paying attention to. And remember, nothing on this show is financial advice. Everything here is just educational material, so you can talk to your own financial advisors, your own brokers, and know what you're talking about, because we'd love to have you guys become your own level of expertise. All right, George, you got an education piece for us as always. But before we jump in, got to thank our sponsor, right?
I was just going to say, you were slipping the gun right there, but
all right.
It's all right.
We love crypto. We also love gold and silver. George and I love diversification. This is the 62.2 gram prepper bar, perforated, as you can see. 3 different denominations, very easy to break down. You can just break off a small piece to make a payment. Let's face it, you can't always guarantee your credit cards are going to be working. Who knows what's going to happen to the US dollar? We're $40 trillion in debt. I mean, ridiculous, right? But listen, I don't care whether it's asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or in the case of the prepper bar, it's very unique utility for barter and trade. Listen, yeah, you need diversification, but you also need a backup plan. And if everything goes bad, having a few of these in the underwear drawer, the sock drawer, the safety deposit box, it all makes sense. Gold and silver, all-time highs again. Things are going well with it. I think there's going to be a major shortage of silver. You can analyze it yourself. Head over to thebigmigbar.com. That's right, thebigmigbar.com. Get over there before something changes. You never know when the government's going to roll out their next plan. And of course, with it, government's gaining total control, because digital dollar is coming. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. George makes it easy. There's a QR code on the screen. You can take a snapshot and go there right after the show. Don't go there now. bigmigbar.com or 888-526-7154, 888-526-7154, thebigmigbar.com, and let them know the Big Mig Show sent you. Appreciate it.
Break me off a piece of that prepper bar.
Well. George, crypto 2026. What are we talking about? We're talking about navigating extreme fear in a maturing market. Now, I don't know really how mature this market is yet. I can't say I feel intimidated by it, but it's definitely changing. We've got regulation in the winds, And of course, it's mid-April. Bitcoin recently trading around, 74,000, 75,000. It's been bouncing around a little bit. No, it's not back to its all-time highs, but it is coming back up. Ethereum, 2,200 to 2,300. The total crypto market cap consolidated around 2.5 trillion and growing. Now, you always got to pay attention to the fear and greed index, because we talk about it on this show. And, listen, we've been deep in extreme fear. You've seen it online. You've seen it in the chat rooms. If you're on X, you're seeing it on X. And of course, that's what happens. Listen, today we're going to turn that fear into knowledge, right? What we're looking for is an educational deep dive. We've got charts, we've got infographics. George brings you all of it for the bigger picture. And of course, we're going to cover the market snapshot. And while this cycle is much more mature, and I do believe you're going to see less volatility in the upcoming 24 months, we're always going to have some volatility because it's a relatively new market. But look, you've got a lot going on with the Clarity Act. Yeah, the banks are still trying to screw us over. They don't want it. They don't want the crypto companies paying you staking fees that far exceed the measly little interest the bank wants to give you. Look, we've got an expanded list of a bunch of practical takeaways for you. And of course, got to get it going. So the current market snapshot George threw up there a minute ago, that's your Bitcoin chart. You see some recent consolidation. And what I mean is that you really see a lot of support. Doesn't look like Bitcoin's going to be hitting any lows here anytime soon. Lots of support. Of course, you also see some resistance, but the support is looking pretty good. I think we hit 74,421. I don't know where it's at right at this minute, but that's a pretty decent number considering where it dropped to. Listen, we've seen some bounces, but we're seeing lots of consolidation. And of course, it's holding above those important support points. Ethereum is trading, like I said, 2190 to 2310 area. There's higher volatility, but a lot of utility coming into the Ethereum network. You've seen lots of news, even on this show. And look, the market cap, 2.6 trillion, not its highest ever, but you do see a steady increase. Stablecoin supply is remaining a bright spot, of course. There's a lot of fuel for trading and payments, a lot of discussions about the ISO 20022 tokens. And, like I said, that fear and greed index, you kind of look at how it's holding, and, it's definitely deep, extreme fear territory. Of course, that gauge combines a lot of volatility, momentum. You got to look at social sentiment. There's a lot of that crap online and more. Of course, a lot of times these low readings have often marked periods where, of course, if you're patient and you're an educated holder, well, what does that mean? You're going to see a rise coming. So if you're holding back, dollar cost averaging is the name of the game right now, why things are still low. It's an opportunity to get your overall cost reduced. George and I do that. We always try to just add a little bit here and there constantly. But listen, you've got a maturing market. So, it's far more institutionalized than in 21, no doubt. Tons of Bitcoin ETFs, which are bringing in lots of inflows in major institutions, and that means because of those inflows, you're seeing a higher floor. You're going to see better, support, that it's not going to break through those lower amounts because a lot of people are coming in at these prices. And of course, they're not going to want to liquidate. They're looking for a win. So, listen, Bitcoin, a lot of people say that it's operating like digital gold. Of course, tied to lots of liquidity, a lot of rate interest. Of course, you're getting rates. And of course, global events. And Ethereum's the big power behind the smart contracts, DeFi, and a lot of innovation, which, of course, is making it a little more sensitive to tech and risk sentiment. There's been some bouncing around. People have been talking about quantum computing and the potential dangers coming online very soon. They think it's 28, 29. I think it's sooner than that. George and I have talked about it on this show many times. So, but look, if you look at kind of a comparison, right? If you're thinking Bitcoin and Ethereum as an example, you know who the founders are, of course. Vitalik Buterin is the founder, and of course, Gavin Wood's the founder of Ethereum. Then Bitcoin, the ever mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto is the founder. Nobody knows who the hell he is. Ethereum was launched in 2015, Bitcoin 2019. Ethereum's got an infinite supply, and of course, Bitcoin doesn't. 21 million, and probably a whole lot less than that for a lot of people that lost control of their wallets and otherwise. Of course, Ethereum, proof of stake. Bitcoin is a proof of work. Of course, you got to look at programmatic contracts and applications via a global virtual machine. That's a good description of Ethereum, its purpose. But Bitcoin, listen, the chain doesn't really need Bitcoin. It's a store of value. It's a medium of exchange. People say it's digital gold, but I always worry about, does the blockchain need Bitcoin or does Bitcoin need the blockchain? At this time right now, looks like the blockchain doesn't need Bitcoin, but of course, Bitcoin is well established. Lots of big money are in it. It's hard to imagine anything happening to it, but diversification, in my opinion, is always the answer. Look, here's where it gets tricky. The time, to mine a block is 15 seconds on the Ethereum network. It's 10 minutes on the Bitcoin network, right? And transactions per second, of course, you get 30 TPS in Ethereum and you only get 7 TPS in Bitcoin. So, it's a struggle when you start looking at the side by side here. It's crystal clear. Bitcoin is a scarce store of value, 21 million cap, and probably a whole lot worse proof of work. And, Ethereum's a programmable platform. It's smart contracts, faster blocks, proof of stake, and I think understanding these roles help you allocate thoughtfully. And I think that's what you have to do. When you start allocating and you're thinking, hey, I want to put 10 grand into crypto. You want to diversify, but you want to understand what you're putting into. And I highly recommend, not running down that meme coin zone, thinking that you're going to get rich quick scheme. I know there's a lot of stories online. I know a lot of people have done it, but it's a big deal. Now you got to start looking at this next chart. Media 6 shows really a bunch of interesting stuff. I skipped this 6, George, because we're talking about institutions versus retail. And you're seeing a big disparity there right now, right? You're seeing the difference of what's going on in the market. The institutions are definitely buying in at a rapid rate. Their holdings are going up. Now, it doesn't mean the private buyers are off. But, look, it's a big deal. These ETFs are really making it more mainstream, right? So if you take a look at those institutional holdings, an ETF, ALM growth, growth. Well, listen, these institutions now hold hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins via these ETF and direct treasuries. You've also got these institutional treasury holdings. You got people like Michael Saylor and others that are accumulating nonstop. And of course, a lot of people are saying this is what makes 2026 feel different. Less pure retail hype and more steady capital building the foundations. So maybe, George, let's talk about some of the regulatory clarity that's needed. It's the big 2026 theme. And I don't know, the Clarity Act, so far, it seems to be stagnant. You have any news that I don't know about, George? Maybe anything going on with the Clarity Act?
I got nothing. Nothing.
That's how I feel.
Let's see. The bankers are trying to have it their way, and
have it your way.
And I know. President Trump said recently, what they want the bankers has nothing to do with crypto and where they're at. And he pretty much said, he goes, banks had your chance. Get out.
That's right. It's
move out the way,
House, right? And it's got bipartisan, support. And now it's in the Senate as of mid-April 2026. There's a bunch of discussions. There's a bunch of markup sessions. A bunch of that's eyed for late April, I guess, as the banks and the lobbyists are all weaseling around trying to stop us from getting that staking reward that we all want. It seems like they're clearly split, right? The CFTC for commodities like Bitcoin, SEC for securities, right? I mean, a lot of people believe that's going to reduce uncertainty and attract more institutional money. Do you think it will, George? Do you think that the stable coins will begin to rule? Do you think there's, potentially standardized reserves, maybe building trust? And what do you think? Do you think Congress is finally going to get in swing step here? Or are they going to continue to let the banks squeeze their balls in a vice?
When it comes to politicians, you never know.
That is well said.
I'm just trying to figure out where's all the crypto lobbyists at with all their big money and stuff.
Yeah, you don't see too much of that going on.
Hire
you and I so we can run around the halls of Congress.
And when the Clarity Act is when it finally gets passed, and if it's done correctly, you're going to see cryptos start to move and move up. I think at this point you'll see Bitcoin take back off. You'll see XRP start going up. You'll see all of them actually go up. And when I say I'm not talking about meme coins, people. I'm talking about real crypto.
Now, look, short-term news definitely can swing prices. You guys have seen it. You know it. Just like Iran, the war in Iran, the Connecticut event. But long-term clarity is really what we need to legitimize the space and to finally stabilize and support really long-term growth.
Haven't we suffered enough with crypto? We had the SEC before Trump came in with lawsuits trying to stop things and, have it their way, and then we start to get some decent legislation. and then boom.
Those banks are greedy though, bro. They don't want to give up easily. They're not ready to walk away from all those where they charge us 30% interest on the credit cards. They give us 1% on our savings.
You know what the banks need to do? If you're that threatened, make your own crypto exchange, charge whatever gas fees, whatever you want. If people want to go there, they will. If not, we'll go to the other ones where we feel more comfortable. There you go.
Let's talk about some of these.
I should get paid for that information I just gave to the bankers. I want a percentage.
I agree with you that you ought to patent that idea. Listen, expanded key takeaways. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about some of the actionable takeaways here. Volatility is normal in consolidation. And I've got a little chart I grabbed, psychology of a market cycle. And you have to kind of look here at what's going on. I mean, it's pretty clear. I always think it's interesting when you see stuff like this and you think, okay, what's really coming into that? And you've got a lot of things like hope, optimism, relief, thrift. All these things come in. There is psychology in an entire market. Anger, panic, all these things are natural. When your money's on the line and you're doing well, of course, you feel like you're a genius. And then when you take a hit, you get kicked in the old collunes, take a little shot. You know what I'm talking about. And then, of course, you don't know what to do. You start panicking. 1 minute, it's the fear of missing out. You think a stock's going to move. You think an investment's going to take off. You think gold's going to go up or copper's going to go up. There's going to be a shortage. You try to make some moves, and then, Wall Street beats you. Good thing about crypto is I feel like you don't see the market manipulation as much. You're seeing it in Bitcoin some, but you don't see it across the board. But of course, there's crypto market cycles, and you have to be aware of that. There's extreme fear, there's capitulation, where we are now, and of course, accumulation, uptrend, and eventually greed. People see the money that other people have made, and I think a lot of these fear phases, they often precede a lot of the rebounds. When patience, like I'm telling you right now, for all my little kryptonites out there, you got to be patient sometimes. Everybody's like, oh, why isn't XRP going up? Look, the fundamentals of XRP just get better and better. We're seeing more and more news. I personally think you just got to buy and hold. You got to wait for the uptrends, and you got to think to yourself, if the fundamentals are going to win, and dollar cost averaging is going to be the smoothest ride. You buy fixed amounts regularly. You buy it during dips to average your cost. And of course, especially powerful when a bunch of other people are panic selling, and then you got to diversify with purpose. If hold some Bitcoin if you like Bitcoin, Ethereum for utility, XRP because they're going to replace the Swift system. These are all things. This is all stuff that I think, you got to think about it. Of course, George, as many times spoke to you guys about security and self-custody. Those are essential. You've got to protect your assets. So look, when you start looking at the chart, all these little graphs I've got and everything else, there's just a lot of stuff. And when you start thinking about diversify with purpose, really think about what you're doing and do it in a smart way. And if you're going to buy good product, not meaning meme coins, if you're going to buy good altcoins with utility, you're going to buy Solana and Ethereum and XRP and Cardano, header a hash graph. We might talk about that on the next show. Maybe we'll go through some of the top coins right now where people are saying they're less expensive because not everybody can afford Bitcoin. Yeah, you can buy some sats. You can do some small amounts in, but at the end of the day, you got to, of course, Bitcoin's not that cheap. It's pretty expensive, but does that not mean it's not a good value to invest in? Absolutely not. It does not mean that. George, do you want to go over these security tips? Got 9 little security tips and a little infographic.
Sure. I was just putting the fan on. It's getting kind of hot in here.
I don't blame you.
You want to do security tips. All right, let me get the infographic up that you got. 9 security tips. All right, security. We always hammer at security. It's big. It's clear and cut, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put it all in one wallet. Get different wallets. Use cold storage. Protect that. Don't keep it online. Protect yourselves. It's always important. Anything that's on the net is always susceptible to being hacked. Now, granted, you say, oh, I only got a couple thousand in coin, 3,000. Yeah, but you know what? 50 people with 3,000 adds up. They're the ones that might be lazy and, and be sloppy, and boom, next thing you know, your wallet's hit. Be careful with your mobile devices. That's a tough one. I know it's hard because we all depend on our cell phones. It's crazy how bad that sounds. We all depend on our cell phones. I mean, most people don't even have landlines in their house anymore.
Yeah.
My mother's 83. It took me last year sometime to finally get her to give up the landline. But it was tough, but that's how people are. And if you're just going to somewhere, a conference or something, get a Faraday bag. It'll stop any transmissions from hitting it. It protects it. Nothing can get into your phone. But know what you're downloading on your phone. Check emails. There's a lot of people that try to spam emails, make it look like it's coming from the company.
And you got to be worried about when you're going to foreign countries now, because of course, China's got this thing where they want you to disclose every ounce of cryptocurrency you own.
Yeah, my thing is delete the apps if you're going.
Yeah, I think you're right. So you got to be careful. You can't even have it on your cell phone, because if they see a crypto app, they're going to say, "Show me your crypto wallet."
Mm-hmm.
And they're I don't know how people are refusing, but I don't think it's going to go well if you refuse when you're in China. These are all things you got to be aware of. So if you are traveling, you better take a look at what the policies are of those countries as you enter them.
Yep. So always back up your wallet. You back up your computer. You back up your, most of your important stuff. Back up your wallet. I was just talking about phishing scams. So you can look at an email and you first glance at it and it looks like it comes from, I don't know, let's say Coinbase. I'll use an example. But if you click on the email address, it's really not from them. It's just somebody trying to get you. And you'll see, I'll say, click on this link, and it could be a malware, or it could be asking more questions. You start typing your stuff and boom, next thing you hit. So you got to be careful. Just look at the email addresses. If you still don't know, go to the website or the app and ask them. Take a screenshot of it and show it to them. A lot of times they'll do. I did it with a Facebook thing not too long ago. About a month ago.
Double check the addresses you're sending crypto to. Because if you make a mistake and you send it to the wrong wallet, that shit is gone.
A good way to do it is, if you're going to send something to a crypto address, send $1 or minimal amount just to make sure it goes through and it's right. Once you know it goes through, then you can do whatever you need to do. Double check them addresses. Lance is most importantly 100%. That's a good one. Check the locks. The way you're locking your crypto, your wallets. Make sure it's safe. Avoid storing a large portion of your crypto on exchanges. Well, we've talked about this. We've done shows on this, different exchanges, different wallets. If you're storing it on an exchange, they have control. You don't. So get yourself a different wallet where it's not an exchange. You can just get like MetaMask wallet and send your crypto there. No exchange controls it. It's you, and then you can get a cold storage wallet. It's even better. And we talk about this all the time. Keep your holdings private. Don't be going around telling anybody you got 3 million in Bitcoin or 100,000 in XRP, whatever. It's nobody's business. People start hearing that. There's been instances where people got kidnapped, held for ransom, trying to get their crypto. People are mean. People rob banks, right? Why not? They'll rob people. They'll rob people for their crypto. So put your egos in check and don't tell nobody. What's the last one? Crypto potato. Lance, you know what? I've never heard that terminology, crypto potato. What is that? Do you know?
No, I don't. I'm not sure what that is. Let me type it in for the hell of it. Let's see what it is.
That's something new to me.
That's new to me too, but I don't know if they put that in there to make sure we were reading the whole chart, because I grabbed that chart from another story because I thought it was really relevant to this story. Crypto potato. Let's see what that is, buddy.
Right.
Wow. Crypto potato is an actual website. Everything hot in crypto. So this infographic was made by them, cryptopotato.com. Everything hot in crypto, George, except the Crypto Power Hour. I'm not sure why they're not sponsoring the hottest show in crypto.
Me either.
All right.
Crypto potato?
That's it. Everything hot in crypto. Like a hot potato, I guess. I guess it's play on words, buddy.
It's pretty weird. Pretty cool. Something new. I listen. We just learned something. We learned too. There's so much to learn,
Yeah,
but
sometimes you do.
yeah.
Listen,
Let me go to the
there's a
next
lot
part.
of analytics dashboards out there. This particular dashboard I grabbed and it's the next image, George. It's
Well,
the
I didn't do this part, Lance. You're going too fast. No.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Slow your roll there, kid.
Go ahead,
Slow
buddy.
your roll. See, Lance, he does that. He probably had too much coffee. I had to get him up at 5 in the
I have had
morning.
a lot of coffee, I have to admit.
And then he throws the nicotine. Then he even does
And I
smelling
got an energy
salts,
drink.
which you were supposed to remind me because I didn't get mine. Yeah, but it's all right. Anyway, so self-custody wallets. We talked about this, hosted wallets. You know, self-custody. I mean, look, software is mobile, browser, desktop.
Little smelling salts.
Right? Your hardware is wallet devices, paper wallets. Then you got hosted wallets, cryptocurrency exchanges, and third-party service providers. So there's different wallets, different things for you. Just look it up. Get it to a couple different wallets. Keep it a little here, a little there. I got a few. I think I got like 1, 2, 4. But
Jeez, crazy, isn't it?
yeah, but you know what? I just I consolidated. I got rid of one the other day.
That was smart.
Yeah. Sometimes too many is no good. All right, Lance, go to your graphic that you want to so deeply get into.
Oh, look, here's the thing. So there's a lot of dashboards out there. This happens to be just one called Dune. These are Dune Analytics. It's a dashboard that shows stablecoin supplies and usage. You can use tools like Glassnode, or you can use, like I said, Dune. And that, of course, that gives you real world, real activity. It'll give you TVLs and inflows and rising on-chain usage during price consolidation. A lot of that, when you see that, if you see rising on-chain usage, that often signals that smart accumulation. You know, the key is you want to watch some of the big stuff. What's the Fed doing? What are the ETF inflows? You know, are there a bunch of new ETFs coming online? What are the inflows looking like in the ETF market? You want to look at global adoption and sovereign adoption. So you want to look at when a government says, hey, like Japan embracing XRP, those are the big drivers. Every time you see acceptance and more use and less regulation, and then regulation that clears up things. I would imagine if the Clarity Act passes, if the banks will get the frick out of the way and Congress will get off their asses, I would imagine the day the Clarity Act passes, you're going to see a big upswing in a lot of cryptos. What day is that going to be? Hopefully the end of April. There's going to be a lot of discussions. I don't know if the banks are going to stop with their bullshit. They might. We'll just have to see. But those, when you start thinking about it, those are all the drivers, right? And that creates that emotional, right? So you got to worry about emotional traps and scams, FOMO, fear of missing out. We've talked about it. And panic to sell at all the wrong times. Never invest what you're afraid to lose, that you can't afford to lose. And always, think about it, verify the projects, dollar cost averaging, like I said. And if you like a project one day, just because all of a sudden it goes for a dip, maybe the dip is just a bunch of emotional action. Might be an idea to buy more. If you've done your research, it's just like a solid stock. If you think it's a solid crypto project and you're committed to it, well, don't go into panic mode, You want to focus on infrastructure. Think about all the tokenizing of assets. All these real world assets are coming online. They're going to tokenize all the minerals. They're already, Solum Global, they're already tokenizing gold in the ground, which gives mining operations a much larger pool of capital. They don't have to liquidate their gold at below market prices to these ruthless hedge funds. So you're seeing a lot of stuff. So as these tokenized assets, it's like real estate. Real estate around the globe is going to be tokenized. Think about all the real estate that's in all these different countries that they don't have any access to mortgages. They don't have any access to money. At the end of the day, when they all become tokenized, it's going to change everything, because it's also going to change all the uncertainty in titles, because guess what? All that title information is going to go onto the chain. It's going to be irrefutable. It's going to be fact. And all this scaling is happening. So, you always want to think about reviewing and rebalancing. If you really make a bunch of money on one token, you might want to diversify some of that money. And you want to set goals. And you want to adjust those allocations based on that. So patience, in my opinion, is the edge. You always want to use patience. Always think about, hey, man, am I reacting correctly? educate yourself right here on the Crypto Power Hour. You can come here Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. We're going to help you. You can come here Friday morning at 7 a.m. We're going to be here to help you. And secure your assets. That way you don't have to sweat it out. Position responsibly. And I guess at the end of the day, 2026, extreme fear leads to institutional adoption and a lot going on. Clarity Act's coming. Going to get more consistent. There's going to be less regulation, hopefully. Of course, the big institutions are going to continue to accumulate, and they're going to be making moves. So stay tuned here at the Crypto Power Hour, the #1 crypto show on Rumble. We got a bunch of stories to cover, lots of news, lots to go over. In crypto, we trust. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At CSPOA.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit CSPOA.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's CSPOA.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these canine units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit WarriorDogFoundation.org.
All right, welcome back to the Crypto Power Hour, powered by Solum Global. Here we your hosts, Lance Migliaccio, George Ballantine. We got the Crypto Mafia in the chat. Crypto armies out there. They're out there watching. Watching out for you. Get a chance, come join the chat. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, that like button, a follow, share. And if you can subscribe for $5 a month, we truly appreciate it. Every little bit helps with the overhead. But Lance and I, we have a perfect solution for the people that can't watch our crypto 24/7. That's right. talking about BlockTrustIRA.com. They're bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to everyday Americans. Their exclusive Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market data and executing advanced crypto strategies that go far beyond buy and hold. This sophisticated technology, once reserved only for Wall Street insiders, now it's available to you. And it's no surprise, this system was named #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine out of more than 1,500 global competitors. Our clients are already seeing over 250% returns on their investments, all with military-grade security and $200 million insurance. Your wealth is fully protected, so don't wait. Visit BigMidCrypto.com today and see how you can join this financial revolution that's finally giving everyday Americans access to the crypto opportunity of a lifetime. Once again, visit BigMidCrypto.com today and you can get up to $2,500 of free crypto. That's right, $2,500. QR code's on the screen, screenshot it, links in the chat, links in the more section of the video. We got you covered every which way. All you got to do is hit that link and go there. Talk to them and see what you could do. Make some good money because Bitcoin's going back up. You can make money. All right, let's get to it. Let's do a little news stories. One of my favorites, XRP. What's it doing? We've been talking about it for a while, that they're making moves in Japan. Well, they made a big move. You know what, Lance? What is it? Rakuten,
yeah.
Rakuten.
It's a product sales site, very popular in Japan.
And it's an e-commerce. They're big e-commerce.
They're big.
Like we
Giant.
have Amazon. They have Rakuten, whatever. But they're adding XRP to its pay app, and this is going to allow its 44 million users to use Ripple's cryptocurrency as a payment method, with more than 5 million merchant locations across the country. Oof. That's big.
I had the link for the site because I had to go look it up because I've got to be honest, I wasn't familiar with them.
Yeah.
I'll put it up if you want to throw the website up so everybody can see it.
I can't. I don't have it set.
Oh, no?
To do it.
Okay.
No, I didn't know.
But look, this is big news. Ripple's senior ecosystem growth manager, Tatsuya Koraraji, said Rakuten is enabling its users to spot trade XRP also via the app. They're going to be able to purchase XRP with Rakuten points and hold it in their Rakuten wallet. So 44 million users, of course, that's a big deal. And this is really one of Japan's largest loyalty systems, with more than 3 trillion points worth roughly 23 billion out in the marketplace right now. And of course, they're in circulation. They can be converted. You can take your Rakuten points now and you can convert it into XRP. So you're awarded those points for making purchases on any one of their participating retailers. And of course, that Rakuten wallet is going to start on April 15th. It's going to be a listed asset over there and a payment method. So meaning users can buy XRP directly with their Rakuten points and then charge their Rakuten cash with XRP to spend it at over, hear this, 5 million merchant locations across Japan. This is significant. This is a big XRP milestone. You cannot underestimate XRP getting access to 44 million retail users. And, you know, Rakuten is really one of Japan's most trusted consumer brands. And of course, XRP is now embedded into its loyalty and payments infrastructure. This is what I would consider a very, very powerful and a very positive signal of where digital asset adoption is coming, and specifically the big moves that XRP is making. Rakuten, of course, began allowing users to spend Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash in 23. In 21, the Japanese e-commerce giant announced the launch of its own Rakuten coin, a token it would say would be used as part of its point-based loyalty rewards. You haven't seen much on that, but that's just one big win for XRP. There's a second big win, George. Winning. We're winning, buddy.
There's a second big win? Oh.
Yes. SEC's newest crypto rule looks like it means an awful lot for XRPL DEX. The SEC just clarified that certain user interfaces for crypto asset securities may not need broker-dealer registration as long as they meet specific conditions such as not holding user funds or executing orders. And it looks like Da-da-da-da-da. XRP Ledger's built-in DEX, of course, fits these criteria, as you guys know on this show. Going to allow U.S.-based developers to operate without registering as broker-dealers, which for anybody that's ever had to do that, it's a major pain in the ass. So if you're building if you're building interfaces on the XRP Ledger network, guess what? You're not going to have to register as a broker-dealer, it looks like. And of course, that's going to give XRP Ledger an advantage over smart-based DeFi products in terms of regulatory compliance and technical capabilities. Now, this is big. This statement came issued under that Project Crypto initiative that the SEC came out with. And this is really the first time they've made this distinction. And I think that, of course, it's going to allow a lot of people to do things they were really hesitant to do because they're like, oh, God, if I do this, I got to become a broker-dealer. Nobody wants to go through that headache. And listen, it's big for the structure and its protocol and that validator network on the XRP Ledger. And of course, here's a quote: providing just access to the XRP DEX doesn't require registration, they wrote on X, because you don't hold user funds and transaction routing is protocol level as well as execution and ordering. Basically means that the interface simply connects the users to the XRPL's native DEX, right? Without executing orders, holding funds, or routing transactions through proprietary systems.
You know, I have to ask
Of
you a
course, that's
question.
mapping quite closely what the SEC described as acceptable. I believe they meet the criteria, George. What do you think?
I think they do, but I have a question. I didn't realize this. This Radican app, right?
Yeah.
It's even here in the United States.
Yeah, it is.
I thought it was only Japan. Wow. I'm looking at it. It says all your favorite brands all here. Best Buy, eBay, Amazon, Apple, Old Navy. I mean, Jesus. Interesting, right?
And you get points. You spend in their network, you get loyalty points, and now you can take those loyalty points and you can exchange it for XRP.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Great way to accumulate XRP. If you're spending anyway, if you're going to go to any one of these vendors, why not get those points and why not get yourself some free XRP? I think it's a win-win.
I think so too. I mean, listen, show me the money, right?
So here's what comes down. The practical effect of the SEC move. There's a XRPL. There's a clear path to operate without having to register as a broker-dealer. And that is one more obstruction gone. One more thing that, assuming that the XRP Ledger and its developers meet this criteria, which I'd have to say they do, guess what? Game on, in my opinion. More expansion for XRP. The only thing I'd like to see XRP do is burn about half of their tokens. I think if they did that, we'd see some real movement.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Let's move on here. Let's talk about High Roller Technologies. They've just come into a definitive agreement with Crypto.com to enter over 1 trillion U.S. prediction markets opportunity. High Roller Technologies executed a definitive agreement, of course, with Crypto.com. They just did it. And the call sign on the New York Stock Exchange, for anybody that wants to know about High Roller, it's ROLR if you want to go check it out. They've got this agreement in place. They're leveraging, of course, CFTC registered exchange clearinghouse positions, High Roller to operate as an introducing broker and aims to create new revenue streams in finance, sports, and entertainment. We're talking about prediction markets, just like Polymarket and Kalshi. High Roller wants to enter that market. Of course, the third-party estimates cite a potential mature U.S. prediction markets opportunity. It is. That market is growing leaps and bounds. You've seen Polymarket go from a valuation of just a couple of billion. I think they're now valued at 11, 12, or 13 billion. They're saying that the potential is a minimum right now of 1 trillion in annual trading volume. And of course, High Roller's got a plan. Now, the positive on this is there's a definitive agreement, access to the CFTC registered exchange and clearinghouse events contracts, which would clear the way for them to get fast approval. Unlike what you saw originally, what happened with Kalshi and then Polymarket, all that delay in being able to use them here in the United States. New revenue streams targeted across finance, sports, and entertainment. Of course, there's no launch date yet, They haven't specified that, so that might be a negative. You know, and of course, there's reliance on third-party 1 trillion market estimate. But I think that estimate's accurate, so I wouldn't underestimate that. These guys are out of Las Vegas, and of course, they've got online. They've got a bunch of premium award-winning online casino brands. They've got High Roller, Fruta, I think this agreement is a big move. And of course, it doesn't surprise me that the main gambling institutions want to get into this prediction market, you know, the vertical, George. I mean, does it surprise you this is going on?
No, because I know they have on Coinbase, they have prediction markets on there, and I forget somewhere else I was seeing it. But because you brought up crypto.com, I got to say this because let me tell you what just recently happened with me. So I was trying to move. I sold some crypto and was transferring the money to my bank account. It was like $1,100 and change. So I did all the thing, transfer says processing. And it like 5 days later, I get a message email saying it didn't go through. They don't give you no explanation. It just says didn't go through. So I did it again. Okay. I wait another 5 days. Now we're going on 2 weeks. And then the same thing. So then I got a hold of support. And let me tell you, that took like 40 minutes going back and forth explaining. They says, well, delete your bank account from the app. First they said, oh, sign out of the app, take it off, re-download it, sign back in, did all that. Then they're like, all right, delete your bank account and re-put it in. Okay, did that. Send the money. So now this is the third week, another 5 days. It went through, but it was 3 weeks. So there's 3 weeks that they have my money available. They can do whatever they want if you think about it, interest, whatever. I mean, it's just crazy. It's not a site I would highly recommend.
Oh, man, I'm laughing because I just saw something. Joe Biden just told some black guy he looked like Barack Obama.
I know. I've seen that.
Yep, he's still floundering around. I don't know what he's doing. They need to move him into a retirement home. All right, let's talk about real world assets. I told you guys, it's all going to come on chain. Doesn't matter, gold, silver, uranium, rare earth elements, platinum, and lots of other commodities. I think we're going to see, you know, everything from, you know, corn futures. All this stuff's going to go on chain. The future is bright on this. Of course, Tezos is talking about tokenizing a lot of the elements. Of course, we're talking about Arthur Brightman. He just talked about his longstanding belief that crypto's next frontier is tokenized commodities. He's talking about uranium and metals tokens as the start of a broader periodic table roadmap. You can count on it. All that stuff is going to come on. I don't care, tin, aluminum, copper. It's all going to be there. And listen, they're already making all the commercial applications that are needed. And of course, they're going to expand. Metals.io's, they've got a roadmap. They're expanding in alloys and other rare earth assets right now. And of course, this on-chain science, you know, if it were built directly on the periodic table, each element with not just a chemical symbol, but a programmable asset, a collateral, primitive, and a market in its own right. Everything will come on chain. It's the future of where this is heading. And it's going to give a lot of capital, as an example, to mining operations. They're not going to have to go out to hedge funds and sell their in-ground assets at little tiny fractions of what they're actually worth. Gold is just one example. Solum Global's making big moves on gold and silver, talking about tokenizing in-ground assets. They've got a couple of deals working, but they're not the only ones. Of course, I think commodities, and here's the quote, are super interesting because the regulatory status of spot commodities in most countries is much more amendable, I would say, to work on a blockchain than it is for securities. I think there's a clear distinction, in my opinion, between speculative crypto assets and the physical underpinnings of industrial economies. So I think these comments are framing, you know, the launch of a website that Brightman brought up, uranium.io and metals.io, as the first coordinated attempt to tokenize the periodic table. They're going to start with, of course, some of the big ones, uranium, gold, and all the strategic base metals. I think because, of course, cobalt, cadmium. Listen, there's a lot of interest in copper and lithium. there's a lot of plays here, and you can imagine if Wall Street thinks they can make money, they're all going to jump, all the way in. So, look, listen, uranium, it's one of those things that it's held in custody and it's traded 24/7. And of course, now it's tokenized on Etherlink, but that's just the beginning. And I think this is really telling you where the market's going. Real world assets are all going to be on chain, and they're going to be tokenized, because not only is it going to make them hyper liquid, it's going to make the market available to you 24/7. Again, is that going to be great? Well, yeah, maybe. I guess when you think the fact that you're going to be 24/7, 365, there's going to be lots of off hours, hedging. What about oil? Is that going to become a tokenized asset? I would think so. I don't think it's just going to be in the ground, metals. George, what do you think here about this?
I think oil can definitely be that. Oil with a lot of other minerals besides gold and silver. I mean, that's a great idea. I wonder what it would do for the markets. Would it lower the price of oil? You'd have to think. Maybe.
It's interesting. It's interesting. You don't really know, because, of course, OPEC, forcefully controls the oil market. I'm sure they want it on chain because there'd be a lot of transparency. But Brightman, I learned something that I did not know. Listen to this closely. He said a lot of people that got into Bitcoin early, back in 2011 and 2012, were commodities traders. I guess a lot of these commodities traders understand supply and demand, just like when they talk about a shortage, like they're talking about a global silver shortage, they're talking about a copper global shortage, and that's why the futures are moving the way they are. But I was surprised. Did you know that, George, that a lot of people that bought Bitcoin in the early years were commodities traders?
No, that I did not know.
Pretty interesting.
Commodities traders.
That's an interesting take.
You know what?
It makes sense.
They had, at that time, they had so much money. They said, why not? What's it at the price of Bitcoin when they got in? What do they care? Right? Think about it. It's like taking a gamble. And, commodities traders, they like to gamble. Smart move on their part. Kudos. You want to donate a couple Bitcoin to the Crypto Power Hour, the wallet? Just hit that wallet and send some our way.
Why not? Check our wallet address. Double check the address. Make sure you don't send it to the wrong group. Send over a couple of Bitcoin. And if you want to sponsor the show, hey, Rakuten, #1 crypto show on Rumble. Get your butts over here. Love to have you as a sponsor, especially your love of XRP. That makes me excited about you. All right, but I think one of the big things that hasn't been answered yet, and who's going to bear the risk when these volatile spot markets collide with immutable code and still some fragmented regulation in this market? I guess the periodic table is going to be the roadmap. We'll have to see which way that road goes. But I think this is going to happen, and I think you're going to see a lot of this in the next 12 to 24 months. A lot of real world assets. That's trillions of dollars in value coming on chain. What does that mean? It means a lot of tokenized assets, the XRPs, the Ethereums, the Solanas, the ADAs, the Cardanos. You better pay attention, because they're all going to be part of it. This is brutal, George. Brutal.
This is brutal.
But how do you not? It's in the App Store. Apple approved it.
I know, it's crazy.
Holy moly! Pay attention, guys, to this one. Listen to what George is telling you.
So a fake ledger app on the Apple Store stole $9.5 million in 1 week. This is a crypto scam. They're posing as this official Ledger live hardware wallet app. Passed Apple Store's review process. Took that money and they took money like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Tron, XRP. This happened between April 7th and April 13th.
I mean, look, Ledger is one of the top hardware wallets. They've got an amazing hardware wallet. I can't figure out how these people could fake being representing the company that this is the Ledger Live hardware wallet. I guess and here's what's terrible. It passed the Apple App Store's review process.
I know.
So they thought it was legit. They put it up.
Crazy.
I imagine Apple's going to be responsible for this. I got to tell you, I think they're going to have to pay these people back. So 50 victims, and guys, this is one, I don't know how I tell you to protect yourself, because if you were on the App Store and you saw the Ledger Live, hardware wallet app get announced that it was just released, And because Apple had approved it, I would have thought it was legit. I mean, why wouldn't you think it was legit? So I guess the $9.5 million, we'll see who's responsible. But I guess they pulled Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Tron, and XRP from people. And this is only what, George? Like 6 days? Six freaking days.
So, I mean, I don't know if if Apple would be responsible. I'm pretty sure they have language in there with the App Store and stuff. Most people don't read. But it did pass Apple security review. So,
damn.
This is tough.
Now, listen what they did. They routed the stolen funds through more than 150 Qcoin deposit addresses and into a centralized mixing service. Now, this is a sophisticated group. They must, I mean, I don't know how they figured it out even, because it was approved in the App Store. So I guess the three largest individual thefts, listen to this, this is brutal. 3.23 million in USDT on April 9th, 2.08 million in USDC on April 11th, 1.95 million in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then ST Ethereum on April 8th. And one of the blockchain investigators, Zach XBT, which we've seen him before, he traced all the stolen funds to deposit addresses, links to a mixing service called Audi A6, which they're known for charging high fees to obscure illicit transactions. So they're one of the nefarious players that will go ahead and take whatever, but they're going to crack you for a high fee because they know they're laundering money probably. I can't imagine why Audi A6 hasn't been shut down.
I wonder what the wallet looked like. Did it mimic Ledger, like their photos and everything? I mean, if that's the case, Apple, terrible with this botch move right here. It's bad. I mean, look how many people mimic coins. They shouldn't allow that with the
I'd like
names
to
of
have
coins.
this guy on the show, this Zach XBT. He was also the one that put out the kid that ripped off the U.S. Marshals. This guy's been doing some digging. He's doing some good work. But look, the attack worked. It would prompt the users to enter, and you understand on the ledger, you got a 24-word seed phrase. So the attack said, enter your seed phrase into the fake app, which of course appeared to be during what appeared to be a normal wallet setup flow. Once a seed phrase entered into any connected application, the attackers, of course, gained full and immediate control over the wallet derived from it. Now they removed the fake. They removed the fake app, but the App Store has not publicly commented how it passed the review process. Zach XPT reported that Apple appears to be blocking security analysis tools from examining the fraudulent listing, which of course is complicated independent investigation. This is big. I have no idea how to tell you how to protect yourself. Now there was a nearly identical fake Ledger app scheme that stole about 600,000 through Microsoft's App Store in 2023. They used the same impersonation, seed phrase playbook. It was the same thing. So the big question is, George, how do you think this passed Apple's security review, man?
Couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
Brutal.
I don't know what their process is.
And maybe it really comes down to, I don't know that seed phrases in app stores are really structurally compatible. It's really tricky, you know what I mean? And now that you've seen that, what do you do on an App Store app? Do you have to contact the company and say, hey, is your app
the App What's Store? That got to do with seed phrase and the app? What does that got to do with anything?
The way they're talking about it, what they're saying is, the security model that rests on the rule, the seed phrase never touches a connected device. And here we are with an app asking for your seed phrase, and maybe other apps are doing the same thing. The physical hardware generates a seed phrase offline and signs transactions eternally. So private keys are never exposed to the internet on a hardware wallet. Of course, the moment a user types their seed phrase into any app, website, or keyboard, the hardware wallet's protection is completely eliminated.
So it wasn't a wallet. You're saying the app was asking for the seed phrase?
Yeah. And so, when you start talking about apps and seed phrases, you really don't want to be plugging. And that's why a wallet provider like Ledger would never ask for a seed phrase during setup. So either, you have to think about any application that requests one. It's either malfunctioning or it's malicious. So security experts are saying only, Ledger Live, only download that from ledger.com directly. So if you're dealing with a hardware wallet, never download the app from an app store. And that's what they're saying. The exposure of an app store, having an online.
Wait, did they mimic the Ledger crypto wallet?
Yeah.
All right, so if you have a wallet, then you're going to have a seed phrase to it.
But a hardware wallet never has you put the seed phrase in online. It's the way that the Ledger Live system works.
Wait a minute. You're saying if I want to recover my wallet on my phone, I need to put my seed phrase in.
Your seed phrase is a separate wallet. It wouldn't be in the app. We're not talking about an app. We're talking about hardware wallets.
Okay.
Interesting stuff. Hard to figure this one out, though. Very tricky scam, guys. You got to really watch what you're doing out there. You got to second guess constantly, which is awful. Hopefully this will go away eventually. All right, listen, if you love the show, you know what to do. Thumbs up, comment, share, hit the subscribe button. Don't hit that follow button, man. Take a minute, support the Crypto Power Hour. And if you'd like to be a sponsor of this show, we'd love to have some sponsors. Rakuten, get a hold of us. It's the #1 crypto show on Rumble. We've got more views than almost every show on YouTube. That's why we're #1 on Rumble. Check us out. Now listen to Crypto Power Hour. Hit the follow button here on Rumble. We're also available on Locals. We're also available at YouTube. Take a few minutes, and we're on every major podcast platform, Spotify, iHeart, you name it. We're out there. Find the Crypto Power Hour. Hit that follow and subscribe button. We need that support. We love you guys. And if you got a topic you'd love us to cover, hit us up over at info@thebigmig.com. Let us know if there's some crypto topics. Hey, Lance, could you cover this? I'm so confused. Or, hey, we'd love to hear an education piece from George on this topic. George, what's your last words for everybody?
Have a good day. It's hump week. See you at hump day, sorry. See you at 11 a.m. for the Big Mig Show. Peace.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At CSPOA.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit CSPOA.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's CSPOA.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on earth. These canine units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit warriordogfoundation.org.